And once again, on the past 12 months, things has allowed to change and shift again in another direction. Where has been those profound changes been? How can we move forward? And overall, where is internet going to? It is true, and this is the first thing that we need to go over today, that the overall time spent on the internet has declined. Thanks to this digital global overview, which is brought by We Are Social company and Medware, we can have access to this extensive report of the ecosystem, so we can actually learn it a lot. To whom it may concern, welcome everyone once again to our safe space, Common Sense, where we discuss an infinitive amount of topics, news like last week, and overall research that can actually teach us something to progress in our day-to-day business. In today's occasion, the Digital 2023 Global Overview. So let's go right into it. 2023, a lot has changed, but who would have actually thought that in this world, in this global world, things could change so much so fast? Yeah, we all are aware, and let me turn this on, of the pandemic and all of the things, globalizations, but this was not expected. We know obviously expect a certain degree of transformation, but the degree that we've come to is unbelievably high. Pandemic and of course post-pandemic made a huge change in our day-to-day life, and once again, on the past 12 months, things has allowed to change and shift again in another direction. We are in dark times. Marketing itself, branding and companies are on their lowest point yet. Inflations, wars, and the overall consequences of the pandemics are starting to be visible for us. This is why we are today covering this global overview of the matter, of the sector and the market, so we can actually have a better understanding of our current situations and where we are heading to. Where has been those profound changes been? How can we move forward? And overall, where is internet going to? Are we in a decline? What do we need to expand? Is artificial intelligence taking over everything? We don't need to be so alarmistic of the topics on these low moments in internet. We just need to understand them and be present so we can move in the future. So it is true, and this is the first thing that we need to go over today, that the overall time spent on the internet has declined. This is a reality. But this is not because the internet is becoming less, how could we say, important in our lives. Nonetheless, the reason is that internet is for once becoming and getting into the maturity market. And this brings these reasons allow us to confuse this new tendency. And the tendency is that people are more than ever used to internet and now are starting to understand how can we use it. And this is the truth. So if we are actually starting having a better understanding of the technology, what happens is that the curve of learning is reaching the peak of it. So the learning curve, we are at the top, which means that now that we have that better understanding, we are looking for specific things. This better understanding improve our capabilities within the platforms. This make us achieve an overall better experience and better usage. In other words, what I like to say is that now people have moved from quantity from quantity to quality, and this is what we are starting to see: more focused topic usage and searches all around the digital world. Internet usage, could be going down, But the funny thing is that it's not the case for social media. This in stark contradiction to the concept of internet drop is the common perception that or the forecasting that social media will keep growing even above internet. And when we talk about this, we are talking about the search engines, like we actually call them, versus the searching inside social media apps, browser, blah blah blah. Okay, so why is the internet usage going down? But I'm saying the social media is going up. What is going on? What's the truth here? So here's the thing. The concept of the internet that we could know, has evolved since we first saw it as a HTML code back in the 1999 or the 20s. And websites or internet has more accents or more things are running. For example, data, which is what I've always tried to lean to, is in data. Data is showing us how more and more people are turning from traditional web searching, which means open Google, Bing, Yahoo, into actually open a social media app and searching there daily. This is a shift that could be reflected on the drop of internet. So if you actually go into the social media and everything is there, you are less likely to open Google and look into other web pages around it. Moreover, the people spend has diversified because now people spend a lot of time streaming content over the internet. More people are actually building e-commerce platforms. More people are actually in the crypto or new Web3 applications. OpenAI has actually shortened the window that we need to be exposed into the internet. And this is a continuous blah, blah, blah of topics that now can be done through the internet. Something like this was not thinkable 5 years ago. And this is what I'm saying. The internet has changed so much. To sum up everything, the average use or connected devices and technologies has broadened a lot. We can forget all the hot topics like NFTs and because that didn't last long, thank to God. But what we could agree and definitely see out of this first look at the global overview is that it's not really lowering the internet use, but instead we are diversifying and becoming more discerning in the use of the connected tech. Okay, so thanks to this digital global overview, which is brought by We Are Social company and Melware, we can have access to this extensive report of the ecosystem, so we can actually learn it a lot. I'm not going to cover every single social media or every single source of digital media. I'm going to go through internet and social media because that's the two more hot topics, and everything will give us the best understanding. But as always, if you want to dive deeper in the information, you could find it online. So before we actually get right into some more data, let's have some pre-context information about how's the world situation today. If you didn't know, the world population has reached over 8 billion at the start of 2023. But this is interesting and not related to social media. Only 57% lives, or well, only 57% of it lives in rural areas, urban areas. So it's like almost half 50-50. There's still 43% in rural areas where the access to internet is not as available, especially on the third developed countries. But there's something interesting to have in mind. Now, out of the total world population, how many of them are using mobile phones? Well, this research shows us that 68% of the total world population is using internet. And in the past 12 months, over 168 million new users has been included into this category. Out of the same population, global world population, 64.4% is online. So 68 are using mobile phones, but 64 are using it online. So there's around 4% there of people using mobile phones, but not connected to any sort of internet. So we can see how the percentage is almost becoming 100%. And then the social media represents a 59.4% of the world's population. So between people having a phone and people using social media, there is less than a 30% difference, which means that we're getting closer and closer to the maximum capabilities or the peak reach of the segment based on the limits of people living in the world. And overall, we can see that in these three categories, we've experienced around a 2 to 3% growth over the past few months. This clearly gives us the full understanding that we are reaching the peak of the market and entering finally the maturity of it. Just like we said on the diversification of uses that people do use now on internet. What are the main points that we can actually extract, like the headlines for any business/marketing perspective? In 2023, there's three main points to explode, and myself is already doing it. First one is the short form video, okay? And definitely they are here to stay. They're easy, super direct, and digestible video content. We want fast and digestible information that we can consume anytime, anywhere. Since we already are exiting the pandemic, that we are no longer we are not staying at home for a long period of time, we are already back in the rush of the working, of traveling, blah, blah, blah. So we need something easy. And experimenting with the length, with platforms like the new one, Spotify, who actually introduced a similar concept as TikTok, would be a great topic to have in mind. Then we are finally saying goodbye to third-party cookies. And this is more important than what you could actually think. Just after a few months, companies were gathering data through third-party cookies in any web page. Now this is illegal, and companies will need to get first-party data. This means more legal issues that you could imagine, even I, and more complicated stuff around to get databases of users, which could mean that bigger companies would start buying small companies to just simply have access to their databases. Databases are more powerful than you could actually imagine. And lastly, the accessibility/visibility. And this is something that we need to thank the Gen Z generation. Subtitles and the investing in accessibility feature is one of the main focus for companies or anyone on their virtual landscape. Just so you have a scope of reality of how important this is, a 2022,000 business disability forum survey found out that 42% of the users were unable to complete an online purchase because the inaccessibility in web pages or applications. So it's more important than ever to start focusing on those with any disability to allow them and help them get included in this world of the internet that we are moving towards. And for the future, the things that are not here yet, but could come. It's 5 of them, and I'm gonna just give you the headline. We will comment in them after some data around it. In the future, we are expecting to be more fragmented than ever. Diversification. Diversification means these fragmentations in reality. So There's one terminology used by malware and their social called texture discovery. This is that people want social media to be less precise, so they want explore. We want to be exploring more and not using or going for what they've been following for the past few weeks, months, or years. And this is already visible on platforms like Twitter, who implemented the For You slash following tabs so you discover things related to your communities. Then we have the collapsing narratives because we've been following a storytelling procedure which has been linear. People are already used to that. So now more than ever, we are breaking the standards and making it as disruptive as possible or as explorative as possible. Then we have a topic that I myself covered on this podcast 2 weeks ago, which is the margin chasers. Social media is becoming extreme. The behavior there are super polarized, and we are seeing more authentic driven and traction cutting through trends. So those who are extreme tend to be highlighted more than before. And this is both a trend that we could focus on and a problem and a threat that will be visible in the upcoming months. New cooperatives, this is something good since you can cooperate with more people online. We are decreasing the ego-driven self communities into more of a communal fighting for one goal. Myself is what I'm trying to do, have this cooperative community where we can all progress forward. And lastly, the expanding identities thanks to virtual world, metaverse, and all of these online making identities that are more flexible, just like the avatars that can be done now on platforms like Instagram. So these are just the headlines for us to cover. Some of them will be expanded through the duration of this podcast, but this is just a general overview of where we are and where can we expect to grow moving forward. Okay, so let's go through the first one, which is the overview of the internet use. We said that we have 64.4 persons connected online using any sort of mobile or device. The total internet users are like around 5.16 billion. And yeah, this brought us to around 2% year-on-year growth. Things that are interesting, the percentage of total female population, 61%. That has increased 1.4 over the year-on-year growth. Men population has increased less, 0.8%, and gave us a 67% total percentage. The daily time spent on the internet by each internet user is 6 hours 37 minutes, which, incredibly enough, has been decreased around 5% over the last year. This report is focusing on the drop on the internet use, and is both boosted by the fully exit of the pandemic and the better understanding of technology that diversify the focus to where we pay attention. Other things is that computers and tablets has also dropped by around 8% year on year, and phones has remained the same. So less people are at home and more on the go. This is one of the reasons why small factor videos are so powerful in today. And the rest of the metrics are stable. Okay. Then we have graphs of the timeline of the internet, and if you would have access to them from the 1990 or where the first wave was created, which was 6th of August on 2021, we have around 4.2 thousand users to the 51 billion that we have today. And then there is a lot of adoptions. There are countries that hasn't adopted internet fully, like Kenya or India, because obviously that is harder for them to get, or even North Korea because of the dictatorship situation that they have on the country. Beside that, I think these are just the headlines. Unconnected populations. India is the number one, then China. They have some legal issues and problems there, and also North Korea is blocked. Literally, it's blocked. Like people in North Korea cannot access anything outside their borders. But this is mainly because of the situation they're living, not because of the being an undeveloped country. Other like South Sudan, Somalia, Burundi, Central Africa, those are more unconnected, but because of the lack of infrastructures they have on their countries. The daily time spent on the internet, as said, due to since the pandemic has decreased, and it's the lowest since 2017. Okay, we've reached the lowest peak since 2017 on the time spent on internet. And on the reasons of why we are going online, we have three of them. Because despite saying that we spend this time, there are some reasons of or main focus points why we are going online. 6 out of 10 of the working age internet users still prefer to be in the online resources where they're looking for information. So that's the main point, looking for information. 6 out of 10 goes on the internet to look about information. 5 out of those 10, 5.3%, goes to have contact with friends or family. 50%, so 5 out of 10, does it to stay up with the latest news and events. And 49.7% goes to watch videos. This is another reason of why short form videos are so interesting. Motivation has remained pretty much stable over the course of years. Okay, there has been not that much change around that topic. However, motivation suggests that there are some stable repetitive activities and some new ones, like for example was big data back when they were launched. This is the reasons that you go on the internet has now dropped around 11% over the last 5 years, which is nothing, because we are going back to normal, and we are also having some changes in behavioral data on the e-commerce platforms as well. But I'm not going through all of that just out of today, because it will literally take us forever. This is a lot of information. There are a lot of graphs. We or us should literally focus on the points that we should or we could get most out of it. My perspective is just a general overview of this wonderful report that we have been going through. Good facts or good data that I found. The internet speed, and this I like it a lot because download and upload has increased around 30% since last year. So internet is getting way faster on laptops and PCs. On phone, it has increased a 70+% on downloads and a 9.5 on upload. So mobile phones networks are getting faster, and the latencies are also going down. So the infrastructure for 5G and the upcoming 6G is increasing in a positive way. We talked about men and women already, so I'm skipping this. And if you are interested in the literacy of adults, it's on the internet is around 15+ years. Okay, in this report. Device ownerships, as I said, any kind of mobile phone, 96%. Smartphone, 95%, and then this is the 8% of that was missing, not connected to internet, which is the feature phones of all times. Laptops, 58%, and tablet, 33%. The last or least used device are virtual reality. That, interestingly or not, is a 60% that has increased a 16% for last year. So this is something. This virtual reality has the highest increase year on year of this report. Up here we have some hours of the time we spend on media. 6 hours total internet, we said it. Around 3 hours watching any kind of broadcast or streaming. 2 hours, 30 minutes talking on social media. 2 hours reading any sort of media online or physical, and then 1 hour 30 minutes watching, listening to music. And the interesting point, at least for me, and when I need to handle, is that the podcast span has grown to an hour a day. So it's a 12% increase. They are listening around 7 minutes more each day or each year to a podcast. Thank God, because if not, I don't know what I would be doing this. I would be doing something different. Then we have more trends. Well, the trends, we've kind of seen them. People are losing interest on finding information. This is mainly boosted, or uh, this is mainly due to artificial intelligence. But more people are, impulse enough is moving into social media. So more and more people make unplanned purchases or discover new things because of social media, rather than internet or advertising on traditional web pages. Web3 is becoming a reality. People are super interested on creating avatars. They want to customize their appearance and everything online on every web page. This is why social media are including the avatars. Apple did it back a few years ago. But this is, I mean, not a true metaverse, but the first step into it. And if you want to take a look about the avatars in Web3, please have a look at Roblox, because they are amazing. And this is luxury. Luxury is really important, because on the top 100 companies, we discovered that luxury was of the segment that grew around 88%, where Cartier was the first one. And this is because 23% of customers say that they would treat themselves with something super nice, even if they have a limited budget. The people are opting for more high-end things than a few years ago. So it's a good time to invest or move into luxury if you have the opportunity. And lastly, this is sadly, but the world has lost the interest on the eco-driven culture, and 30% decrease on this factor says it the same. People are less inclined to be eco-friendly, sadly, because this is gonna influence us poorly for every one of us. Ah, some more interesting factor about the state of mobile internet. We actually saw how its speeds increased, and this is information extracted from GSMA Intelligence, and says the following: 70% of the connectivity trends are for people aged 18 plus. Okay, and out of the total population who can be biased, we see that more and more young people are starting to get connected, even in areas of Africa. And it's the elder people, the one still remaining a bit unconnected in each area. Then, the cost of 1 gigabyte of monthly data is less than 2% of the monthly income in more than half of low and middle income countries. This is why phones are getting more used than laptops, because of the economies of scale created on the data mobile companies. Okay, affordability still is a challenge, but as we grow, even the poorest population segments could have access to mobile data in the future. And if you haven't noticed, on the past few years, even if you didn't change your mobile phone plan, you have increased. They have increased you the total amount of gigabytes that you can use. And lastly, the gap between living areas without mobile phones is 5% on the world's population. So it's around 40 million people, the ones that are totally unconnected to any sort of mobile phone networking. Okay, and these are predominantly poor or rural areas who are stuck where the traditional methods. And then here we have some more of that internet use. Okay, mainly community and commiseration. Wow, that's a tough name. Which is the conversations between social media, so the Twitter conversations and things of controversy. More and more people are being guided and influenced through the internet use of social media. Social listening data give marketing endless way to mirror their curiosity. So this is the tool that we use in social listening. Pay attention to that tool because we will be hearing about it more sooner than we think. And luxury fashion needs make purchases influenced by social media. Okay, so especially luxury is the one using these kind of tools like social listening. And then context and information. People is where we go. We go to Twitter, we go to Instagram or to TikTok to really know what is going on and not to traditional newspaper, which is the case of your newspaper. Please consider the fact of going into this kind of networking to promote your news. You're already doing the job. You're missing the last rush into social media. Okay, now let's tap into the one of the trends that I was telling you to, which is texture discovery. No, this moved in interest going to searches being less precise, so you can feel like you are in control of discovering. Okay, you don't want people don't want now the exact answer. They want actually to feel like they were the one that got to that answer and they're not being controlled. Okay, this new shift is where like people are using we are using questions and not measuring them to the precise single terms, so you can actually have a chance to explore. So you don't need to click one and go directly into it. And this means that we cannot use the old capitalization method of offering in social media. We kind of need to wait a bit more for the user to explore, have this idea. This is why social listening is so good, because you have the track over the time and allow them to discover. This is why this is the main area, not discover, and TikTok has done it tremendously well through there. And this is why endless scrolling is the new standard for any company or for any terminology moving forward. Okay, so use discovery as a tool to promote yourself. Don't stick to one content. Try to diversify so you can actually appear on these exploratory trends or searches of people. Also build communities. This is the less ego building communities to have the community and not be ego driven. So back in the days, companies of or personal brands of one person tend to dominate the entire landscape. Now, this one single person, strong personalities, has moved into groups of several strong people. So each time they search for one of your colleagues, you will appear on the Discovery network. This is why communities are moving as the key or the main selling point of social media. What else I'm missing? We talk about this a lot. Narratives. This is something that I'm really interested in. I'm not really bad copywriter. My inspiration to create any sort of storytelling is literally zero. So this is a good point for me, who has no idea of creating storytelling. I can create it the way I want to survive this modern attention to mutation. So, in the prehistoric arts of storytelling, you have the interactions, the main point, and then the ending, where the story was a happy ending, sad ending. Stories no longer need interactions, middle, and then ending, and you can actually use the arcs and the story and collapse on the middle, start mid time, and scatter things around platform. So what this is translated into social media is that you could start telling, you could actually finish this story on social media, go to the middle part and develop the length of it on other, and give you the starting on the third one. And you would be doing the reverse way, spreading it through different social media. So if people actually want to know what happened, they need to search you on all three of them. And we're gonna conclude with one more little theory of the top 4 digital marketing trends, which is niche demographic. First one, forget about segmentations and try to build a tribe with communities encouraging all kind of behavior, all kind of culture and interest. Okay, so you can actually learn a lot about all of them. You have people from India, people from the United States, people from Europe, people from Africa. They will give you small niches and more opportunities to explode in your brand. Then listen, okay? If you have a brand that you can access to social listening, please do that. Start listening to people. They are super valuable. Focus your influence on the consumers that give you the most. This has been a 101 for marketing, but by having more demographics involved, you can have a bit more niches, ambassadors, and more into your brand that if you were only focusing on one. Okay, so focus your influence, but also in diversification your niches. And obviously, of course, the brand value still super relevant. And yes, we don't have high amount of investment, but we need to be there. We need to survive this time. We need to wait and be ready for when they need us back, so we can jump and go back into action. Ooh, it's been a lot of information, but I like to finish and close and wrap it up with funny things, which is the top movies of 2022 per streaming platform, so you can have a note of that. Netflix number 1 was the Tinder Swindler. Disney was Encanto. Amazon Prime was Samaritan, and HBO was The Batman. That was the top movies. And on series, Netflix goes by Stranger Things by the first one. Disney Plus gets Simpsons. Yeah, it's incredible. Amazon Prime is The Lord of the Rings, and HBO was Game of Thrones. And with this, we can actually wrap it up. This has been the report of the Global 2023 overview done by We Are Social and Melware. This is a report of more than 450 slides, informations, and many more information. My part was to summarize and try to give you the best closing and the best possible understanding of the whole industry. But as always, I hope some of this was to your liking and you were able to learn a bit from it. And as I always say, to whom it may concern. I'll see you on the next one.